going to the channels view, I want to showcase the spectrum capabilities of this device, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to turn networks off just to really focus on spectrum analysis. You can overlay the networks across it if you'd like, but you can kind of see some 802.11b activity starting to formulate. This is just because my network's on channel 11 is constantly beaconing and saying, hey, I'm here, I support these data rates. So you're going to see some light interference. So that's what that purple noise represents. But I happen to have a signal generator here. These are pretty hard to find, but this is a signal generator that I'm going to plug in just to show you what the spectrum looks like here and how quickly it'll find it. So I just plugged it in. And as you can see, it immediately picks it up, right? I actually am really impressed with the spectrum analyzing capabilities on this thing. So this could be a cordless phone, baby monitor, Xbox 360 controller, microwave, really anything. But this is a particularly a signal generator. And so if I attenuate the signal, you'll see just how real time it kind of drops, right? I'm going to kind of move it a little bit away from the Wi-Fi, but it's really, really sensitive, which is pretty neat. And then if I'm going to bring it back here closer to the Wi-Fi area, you'll see it kind of get a little bit hotter, right? So really easy to play hot or cold to really locate where this is coming from. Of course, if I overlay the networks across it again, you'll see that there's some networks absolutely that could be getting messed up right now on channel 6, right? Eventually you would see that those zig routes would disappear entirely. I'm gonna get the networks off here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this source of interference, just in case that I have some neighbors that are wanting to use their Wi-Fi. But really great spectrum analyzer. It looks like it's taken a little bit to catch up, and then you just see it drop, right? So again, do you really need a $3,000 to $4,000 spectrum analyzer to see that? It was pretty clear, pretty obvious. It's a pretty, I think it gets, not, like I said, 90 to 95% of the jobs. The fidelity on this thing is good enough, absolutely, right, in my opinion. Let's look at some other 5 gigahertz spectrum. So now I'm just looking at the 5 gigahertz here, and I have a network on channel 38. So if I put my networks on here, that little zig rod is mine, and you can actually select it, and it says, oh, yep, there's Kathy-Fi right there. You know, it gives you utilization, number of clients on this channel, and number of BSSIDs. So someone else is sharing this channel with me. Interesting. I need to go have a conversation with my neighbor possibly. I'm going to turn networks off and kind of run a speed test. So I have my mobile device here. I'm going to run a speed test on my mobile device, which I hope is associated to the 5 gigahertz band. We'll find out soon enough, right? So I'm going to go ahead and run just a OOPLA speed test here, just a standard speed test. And yeah, and you can see the Wi-Fi Air is catching that quite nicely. And if I bring it close to the antenna, it gets higher, right, in amplitude. So you can actually track, and again, I'm just still doing my download here, and then it's upload. Upload should be coming up next, and you can see it rise. I mean, look how quick that is and how responsive that is. Pretty obvious that it's some OFDM modulation going on, and I'm going to run one more just to show that to you. Again, I think it's really, really neat and fast enough and great here. So, and again, if I put it right next to the antenna, it picks it up quite nicely. And so you can actually track client devices based on utilization. If you have a top talker, just with the spectrum, not only, you know, it's obviously easier to track a client device based on its signal strength using the 802.11 protocol, but this is just spectrum. Even if it wasn't a Wi-Fi device, it'd be really easy to track and locate where the stuff's coming from, right? So I thought that was pretty neat. Finally, the last thing I kind of want to show is we have some cool settings here. If you find yourself that you don't need certain, you know, maybe you don't need DFS channels, you can toggle that on or off. If you're in Asia or Europe, maybe you want to see channels 12 through 14. So pretty easy to toggle that stuff on and off. And we have some more sweep settings as well that are possible. But finally, we do have this cool snapshots feature. Right. So this is, again, what gets sent up to Rampart, gets sent up to my.metageek.com. And of course, I've made some example sites. Whenever I demo this tool for customers, I create example customer sites. So it sees a few different sites, but it's just because I need to clean up my data. But so it recognizes my network, it recognizes my neighboring networks, and it says, hey, you must be at your home. So sure enough, I'm going to select my home here. And I've already built out rooms, of course, but if I was at a new site, it's just really easy. You click the plus button, you can add a new room if you'd like to, right? And just go and take room by room snapshots. This is a great use case for ISP technicians, for instance, who need to verify Wi-Fi in each room. You can just go, so right now I'm in my own office, so I'm just gonna say Casey's office, and all I need to click is this button here in the bottom right, and it's just gonna start capturing all the Wi-Fi data around me, neighboring network RSSI, my network RSSI in the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band. It's gonna try and see utilization, client utilization, things like that. We are still working on adding more. I'd personally like to see some spectrum images go up, but of course, server space is limited. And I think we're still working on how to exactly do that, but eventually we're going to see more and more data. And of course, so it just finished this snapshot, and to send it up to the cloud, you use the little upload button in the top right corner, and then finally a check mark, and it's going to be sending that up to my.metageek.com is the URL that you can access that. And if you have an account and you're signed into your account on AirViewer, it's all going to be seamless pretty much. And of course, depending on what subscription you have with MetaGeek, if you have multiple team members, they can actually see that data and collaborate on that data as well.